This time the Quick Speed Shop, I'm starting the final assembly on the Model A Doodlebug. Alright, so I've been doing a lot of random cleaning and working on here. You can see I got the bed all blown off and everything else. And I've gone and I've painted the chassis here, satin black. I painted all this. I've started painting by hand the wheels and the back brake drums, just gloss black. Just brushed on with some rust encapsulating paint. I started painting those, and I've got to the rear end here, and I'll show you. This is that Timken Detroit axle I talked about last time. It's about 100 years old. It was made by Timken. This is designed from like 1918, about 1926, and I've got it cleaned up. You can see here that it used to be red, and even the brake drums, or the brake shoes and all that are red, so I got it all wire wheeled down. I'm going to paint it bright red under here like it would have been originally. So that'd be kind of a little bit of flash under the back of this thing. You look under there, it'll be a bright red Timken rear end. So I got this dialed in. I got to paint the rear shifter still. I've got all this painted. I believe in the rear bumper as is condition, because it says in faint letters, you can see it says inflammable. And that was something that was painted on this thing, and I thought it was kind of cool. So I'm going to leave this like it is. Here I got new rear cross member. These are my bolts for my tailgate bolts on for the box. And you've seen already probably the tire video where I did a tube in this rear tire here. Basically, my friend Tony and I broke this tire down on the tractor, or on the Doodlebug, pulled the old tube out of it, which had a bad valve stem, and we put a brand new tube in this, put it back together, and somehow we either pinched or cut the tube with a bar or something. I ended up having a couple of leaks in it. I had to take the tube back out, patched it, took it to my friend Dave's house. We put 3 patches on it, and then he came over and we wadded it back in here. And now it's been holding. That was today. We did that this morning. It's been holding air for about 10 hours. So we're good to go here. I got a brand new tube in the back tire, so I'm good to go. I'm also, when I paint this, the outside of the rim is going to be black, and then the hub is supposed to be red. And these spokes were natural wood color. I'm going to see if I can like polyurethane these or spray some clear on them. They're probably ash or hickory or something real hard that doesn't rot, or maybe elm, I don't know. But they're 100 years old and they're not rotted, and that's pretty good for sitting outside. So I'll show you what I'm doing around front. So in the front here, I've gone and I've changed front wheels. The left front tire was shot, and it was dry rotted, and the tube was junk. The left rear tire was really old. It held air, but it was really old. It had 20-inch rims on it, AA rims. They had a 720 on that side, and they had a flat 620 on this side. So what I've done is I made these wheels when I was working on my tow truck back last year. I took original AA center sections, and I cut them out of some wheels that had junk outer rims. Then I took some 16-inch Bud wheels, I think off a Ford, and I cut the center out of the Ford wheel, and I trimmed down the Model A truck center, and I slid it in there and welded it into the center of these Bud wheels. So now they barely fit over the brake drums, but I'm able to run a modern tire that I can get cheap. I thought about putting a new Biasply truck tire on here, a 720, but by the time you buy the tire and the tube and the inner liner, it's almost $300, and it's kind of expensive for what this is going to be, just puttering around in the yard. I didn't really want to spend that much money. I built these rims for like 25 bucks, and I had these tires that are a little dry rotted. I was running them on my truck, but they got too old, so I pulled them off. So they'll be good for this. They're about 2 inches shorter than the stock tires, but the thing's already got a super rake on it, so it'll be fine. So I've got 2 good new tires on the front here to roll around. So we got all 4 tires holding air. Over here I got a spray area set up. I painted the emergency brake handle, which is going to go on the first transmission. And then I painted the seat bracket, and then the hinges for the floorboards. This is all flat black stuff over here. I got that hanging out. I'm also working on the floorboards. I'm going to paint these flat black as well. I've got the rear section out. I had to cut a bigger hole for the emergency brake lever, which will go here on the front transmission. I'm going to paint these black. I've got to make a battery tray, which is going to sit over here in the frame right behind the second transmission. So what I'm doing is I'm in my first stage of rattle can action. I'm rattle canning a bright red, and it's really going to pop under the back of here. But whatever this came out of, It could have come out of a fire truck, I guess, if it was red. Whatever truck this rear end came out of, it was bright red when it was new, so it's going to be bright red again in the Doodlebug. It's going to be cool to look under this green bed and see this bright red rear end. I went and I painted the floorboards. I had some flat black. I was going to flat black the lumber, but the paint was really old, and I ended up mixing it the best I could, but it kind of made like a stain, sort of. So I'll bring you over here, I'll show you. It kind of made like a cool stain look here on the floorboards. Kind of a cool antique look here. It's you can see a little bit of the grain behind the black, and it didn't really dry flat. It dried more like a black varnish, so that looks pretty cool. And while I was at it, I painted this part here, which is hanging on the rack. While I'm in the assembly mode, I'm thinking about headlights for this. I have a Model A headlight bar, and I have some headlights. I'm thinking about making short irons off here and hanging a set of headlights on the front of this. I'm running the tail light on the left rear on the back with a license plate. So I think it would dress it up with some headlights. And the final thing I'll probably do is finish the hood. That's not done yet. It's still in bare metal. But I'm in the process of painting everything up here and getting all that done. And I can take the hood off and finish that. So let me get back at painting the rear end. I'll get that all painted up, and then we'll see what else is going to happen. Alright, another thing I got to do during the final assembly process here is make some kind of battery location. And I just had a piece of plywood bolted up here on the frame rail for the first drive, but now that I'm putting the box back on and working on the floor, I was trying to see if I could put the battery under the frame somewhere, and it's a deep cell battery because I don't run the generator, so I just run the vehicle off the battery. Eventually I'd like to get an alternator for this, but that's later on down the road. But for right now I'm just going to run off the battery voltage, and when I run my tow truck I run it the same way, my AA tow truck, and it's fine. You can run it pretty much all day. These ignitions don't take hardly any juice to run. So what I do on my tow truck is I just put the battery on the back of the truck, and I've got some battery cables run up, and I bolt it down in the back of the truck and run it that way, and when I get done I just pull the battery out and I don't leave it in there. So I'm going to do the same thing on this Doodlebug. With the box on the back, I'm going to set the battery right behind the seat, and I'm just going to make a little spot for it there. So I had temporary battery cables, and what I'm doing is making new positive and negative cables that are going to run the length of the frame, and they're going to go to the back by the box. So I've already made a negative cable here which grounds to the starter, and then the starter also grounds through this screw on the front and runs up through this coated cable and grounds to the bolt on the back of the coil. So the cowl is grounded to the starter. Now the starter is grounded to the frame. I'm putting a common bolt on the frame, and it's going to bolt the cable to the frame, and then the cable's going to continue on to the battery. So we'll have the battery and the frame and the starter and the engine and the body will all be joined together with a common ground point. So I've got the ground cable on here. The new starter cable I have sleeved in a piece of tubing, plastic tubing, so it doesn't wear on the body, on the frame or the body work anywhere. I'm going to be bringing that up here and bolt it on here in a second. But let me show you what I did with the ground connection point back here. So I've come through to the frame here. I've cleaned a spot on the frame down the bare metal, and I put a stud here on the frame. I've got my battery cables. I got some dielectric grease here, you can see, kind of mushed around on everything, and this will make a good connection. So this bolt is going to be a common ground, so the battery and the frame and the engine and everything will be grounded together. So I've got a stud here. I'm just going to go ahead and put a nut on here and tighten all this down. This is the seat bracket here. The seats will be here, and I've got my battery, which is a deep cycle battery, will sit over here against this box side, and the battery cables will come up here and they'll land on the battery, just loosen the bed. And when I put the wood back in here, I might make a little, probably like angle iron frame or something, so the battery can sit here and not slide around. I'll just screw it right to the wood, and I'll have a little restraint, so this battery here will sit right over here tight to the box. So I'm going to boondoggle all this up together here, and when I put the bed floor back in, we'll locate the battery and figure out exactly how it's going to be. But this will keep it nice and easy. I can pull the battery in and out. When I want to ride this thing, I'll just take the battery, plop it in here, hook it up and go. And then when I'm done with it, I'll just pull the battery out. Because this is my winch battery for my trailer, it'll work good for this because it's deep cycle. So that's what I'm doing. I'm working on the electrical system. Ta-da! Bam! Well, here it is. Final assembly complete. Got the headlights all painted up and mounted up here. Got the hood on and mounted down tight. I've washed it. I've tire shined it. It's the night before the show. It's 9 o'clock at night. And tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock in the morning, this thing's going to be on the trailer heading down the road to Buffalo. But it looks good. It cleaned up nice. It's running pretty good. The carburetor still leaks, but I'm going to drain the gas out of it once I get to the show, so it won't be an issue. But it's pretty much all dialed in. And it looks good. The hood looks good on there, all painted up. I did a video, separate video I'm sure you've seen already on the headlights. I did a video on the hood. Odds and ends are complete. The license plate's on it, and it's all ready to go. My water is terribly hard here, so I washed this and I had this chamois dry the whole thing, but it's looking pretty good and getting everything all shined up. Oh, I gotta fix this carburetor. Drain the gas out, it's dripping everywhere. But here it is. Ta-da! That pretty much sums it up for the final overall assembly. It's been a cool project. I'm going to keep tinkering on it. I'm going to take it to the steam show, and I'm going to have lots of fun with it. I'm going to try to fix the carburetor so it doesn't leak and tune it up a little bit better and get it going. But it's going to be a fun vehicle, and I'm glad I've been working on it for the past like 5 months here. But now I'm going to get back onto my Model A hot rod truck. We're going to start hammering on that pretty heavy because I got to get it done for, it's going to be April 1st in a week, and I've got to get it done for cruising around this summer. So thanks everybody for watching the series on the Doodlebug. It's going to pop up here and there in the future here, and it'll be around somewhere. So in the meantime, thanks for watching. Please subscribe. I'm going to put a circle on the left headlight. Go ahead and hit that link to subscribe. Putting out new videos every Wednesday and Saturday. So I appreciate everybody watching. Tell your friends, hit the bell for alerts, and as always, we'll see you again at the Quick Speed Shop. Oh, I hear the carburetor, she's dripping. I gotta go. See you later.